Wizard, are you tired of watching your money disappear month after month and never being able to save? What no one tells you is that the real secret to changing your financial life isn't about earning more, but about knowing exactly how to use what you already have. And what if I told you that you can take total control of your finances and still have money left over at the end of the month to invest in your dreams? Today, you're going to discover how to organize your income, control your spending, and finally stop living paycheck to paycheck. If you think budgeting is complicated, just wait until you see how simple it can be to transform your future. And it all starts now. The importance of personal budgeting. Creating a personal budget is like taking the reins of your finances and preventing them from spiraling out of control. Who hasn't gotten lost in emotional spending or bought something they didn't even need because it was on sale? Budgeting helps avoid these traps. When you sit down and write out your income and expenses, you realize you can make more conscious and organized choices. After all, knowing exactly how much you can spend without jeopardizing your finances is liberating. Many people don't realize how powerful something as simple as listing these numbers can be. Imagine you have a goal to save for a trip at the end of the year. If you don't organize your finances from the start, that trip might remain just a dream. The point is that a budget gives you clarity. It shows you where to cut expenses and where to invest, helping you prioritize what truly matters. We're not talking about deprivation, but rather planning. By controlling your spending, you are investing in your future, as if you are creating a map that guides you away from debt and towards your goals. Often, what we lack for effective financial control is precisely the practice of planning. Without a clear budget, it becomes easy to get lost with unexpected expenses or even with the small luxuries of daily life. Have you noticed how those little coffees on the go, or the extra streaming service, can seem insignificant? But, at the end of the month, they add up to a considerable amount that, if not controlled, can affect your financial balance. With the right budget, you already know how far you can go without exceeding your limits. The power of a good budget also lies in how it protects us from impulsive spending. How many times have we failed to prioritize the essentials to make room for the superfluous? This can lead to problems in the long run. Managing your finances helps you identify these traps. When you see that essential bills like housing, transportation, and food are in order, the chance of making emotional financial decisions decreases significantly. Putting feelings aside and focusing on the numbers is a simple but effective practice. Another interesting aspect of budgeting is that it can prevent the emergence of unpayable debts. Many people end up in debt because they don't have a clear view of how much they can actually spend. By creating a realistic budget that considers all expenses and income, it becomes easier to avoid this kind of trap. And if, by chance, a debt arises, you'll know exactly how to handle it without compromising your future. It's all a matter of planning. And speaking of planning, a personal budget is not just a tool for the present but for the future. When you take control of your finances, you can project where you will be in a few months or even years. This kind of organization is essential for achieving larger goals, such as buying a house, taking a big trip, or even securing a comfortable retirement. And that leads us to the next point: tools for a good budget. When we talk about creating a good budget, having the right tools can make all the difference. A clear list of how much you earn and how much you spend is the first step. Imagine that you receive your salary, pay the essential bills, and then write everything down: every grocery purchase, every outing with friends. Over time, this practice becomes a habit and, most importantly, gives you an exact view of where your money is going. An Excel spreadsheet or even apps can make this task much easier. The important thing is to leave nothing out. In addition, it is essential that your budget accounts for unforeseen expenses. After all, who hasn't had a surprise, like a car repair or a medical emergency? If you don't plan a reserve for these unexpected costs, they can destabilize your entire planning. A good budget isn't rigid but flexible enough to handle these situations without needing to resort to loans and accumulate debts. The idea is to be prepared for whatever comes your way without losing the balance of your finances. Another essential strategy is to divide your expenses into categories. This means clearly separating your fixed expenses, such as rent, transportation, and services, from your variable expenses, such as leisure and non-essential purchases. This way, you can clearly visualize where you can cut costs if necessary. If you notice that discretionary spending is becoming greater than essential expenses, it's a warning sign. It's not about cutting out everything that brings pleasure, but ensuring that your priorities are in order. One tip that many experts recommend is the 50-30-20 rule. It suggests that 50% of your earnings should go towards essential expenses, 30% to personal desires, and 20% to savings or debt repayment. Of course, this rule can vary depending on your lifestyle, but it serves as a good foundation for those looking to start organizing their finances. The important thing is to ensure that essential expenses do not exceed the limit and that there is always a reserved space for saving or reducing debt. Speaking of saving, an excellent idea is to automate this process. This means setting up your bank account to automatically transfer a portion of your earnings to an investment account as soon as your salary is deposited. This way, you avoid the risk of spending that money before thinking about saving. This technique can be especially useful for those who find it difficult to save regularly. When you automate it, it's worth remembering that planning your budget also means thinking about goals. When you know exactly where your money is going and have the right tools to control it, it becomes much easier to achieve your objectives, whether they are short-term or long-term. With this, you begin to see your goals becoming a reality, whether it's saving for your dream vacation or even a larger house. The tool I use to organize my finances will be available for purchase at the end of the video, but feel free to find others or even create your own. Let's move on to the next topic. Benefits of planning your finances. Planning your finances is like drawing a clear roadmap to success. When you have well-defined goals and a plan to achieve them, the path becomes much smoother. Imagine, for example, that you have the goal of taking an international trip in 2 years. With a good plan, you can start setting aside a portion of your earnings each month, ensuring that the dream becomes a reality without compromising your finances. And this applies to any goal, whether it's buying a car, investing in education, or simply increasing your investments. One of the great benefits of planning is the peace of mind it brings. Knowing that your bills are paid and that you have a reserve for unforeseen expenses gives you a sense of control and security. This financial planning goes beyond organizing expenses. It allows you to have a clear view of the future. You stop living paycheck to paycheck and begin to see your resources grow consistently. And when unexpected expenses arise, you are prepared to handle them without falling into debt. This is something many people underestimate, but it makes all the difference in daily life. In addition, planning allows you to direct your resources toward what really matters. If you have clarity about your goals, such as investing in an emergency fund or ensuring your children's education, it becomes easier to make sound decisions. It's like knowing exactly where you are stepping. Without planning, it's easy to be swayed by impulsive spending or momentary desires, which can seriously jeopardize your budget. Financial planning gives you this broad perspective, helping you make smarter choices with your money. Planning also brings the ability to make your money work for you. By setting clear goals and prioritizing saving and investing, you start creating opportunities for the future. The money left over after paying your essential expenses can be invested in stocks, funds, or even personal projects that will yield returns in the long term. The key is to use this planning to create a cycle of financial growth, where each choice brings you closer to your objectives. With the right tools and a well-drawn plan, you not only avoid financial problems but also build a more stable future. And, of course, understanding how to balance your spending between what is essential and what is a desire is part of this process. And that's exactly what we are going to talk about now. Essential expenses versus wants. One of the biggest traps in financial management is not knowing how to differentiate between essential expenses and wants. Essential expenses are those you truly cannot avoid, such as housing, transportation, food, and utility bills. They form the foundation of your budget, and understanding exactly how much they represent within your finances is crucial. On the other hand, wants are those little pleasures that, while important for our well-being, are not mandatory. Knowing how to balance these two categories is key to keeping your bills in order while still enjoying life. Imagine you have a tight monthly budget, and even so, you feel the urge to buy a new high-end smartphone. If it's not an immediate need, this is a classic example of a want. Now, if your utility bills or rent are due soon, prioritizing the payment of these essential expenses is fundamental. To avoid falling into the temptation of giving more attention to wants than needs, it is important to review your budget regularly. This helps you stay focused. An effective technique for managing these two types of expenses is to use a simple prioritization rule. Essential expenses should always come first, as they ensure your safety and quality of life. If, after paying them, there is still room in your budget, then you can think about satisfying some wants. A good tip is to set aside a small portion of your earnings for these personal luxuries, but without letting them compromise your savings or debt repayments. This helps maintain a healthy balance between what you need and what you want. Of course, cutting all wants from your life is neither realistic nor advisable. After all, everyone deserves a moment of pleasure, whether it's going to the movies, having a special dinner, or taking a weekend trip. The important thing is to ensure that these expenses are made consciously and do not jeopardize your long-term finances. If you learn to control these little luxuries, you will see that they can be part of your life without creating problems. The secret lies in moderation and planning. Another aspect that many forget is that some wants can be postponed for more opportune moments. If something doesn't fit into your budget this month, why not wait? This can prevent you from making an impulsive purchase and regretting it later. The idea is not to live without pleasure, but to make smart choices that help you achieve your goals without creating holes in your pocket. Spending consciously is the first step toward a more balanced and stress-free financial life. The next topic is what leads many people to ruin before they even realize it. Lifestyle and unexpected expenses. Maintaining a lifestyle aligned with your finances is a challenge, but it is also one of the best ways to avoid stress. Often, we are led to increase our spending as our income grows, but this is a trap. To maintain balance, it is important not only to control essential expenses and wants, but also to set aside a portion of the budget for unexpected expenses. These unforeseen costs, such as a medical emergency or a car repair, can destabilize even the most well-planned budget if not accounted for from the beginning. Imagine you are living comfortably with your organized budget, paying all your bills on time, and even managing to save a little money. Suddenly, an emergency trip arises to visit a sick relative. If you don't have a reserve set aside for this type of unexpected event, you may need to resort to credit or even sacrifice other areas of your budget. That's why setting aside a portion of your earnings for these unforeseen events is essential to ensure that your planning is not derailed by surprises. Another useful strategy is to adjust your lifestyle to maintain a healthy balance between what you want and what you can afford. This doesn't mean living restrictively or giving up everything that brings you joy, but rather having a more conscious approach to your spending. For example, if you enjoy going out to dinner regularly, why not set a monthly limit for these outings? This way, you can maintain your lifestyle without jeopardizing your budget. The key is to plan and stay true to what you set out to do. It's also important to have a clear view of your lifestyle expenses to know where you can make adjustments. Some of these expenses are easy to cut temporarily, such as streaming subscriptions or unnecessary purchases, without drastically affecting your quality of life. These temporary cuts can be extremely helpful when you need to balance the budget after an unexpected expense. Being flexible and able to adjust your expenses as needed is a sign of financial maturity. When we think about unexpected expenses, it's worth remembering that they can come in all shapes and sizes. Some can be small, like a last-minute gift for a friend, but others can be significant, like an expensive home repair. Having a reserve for these expenses helps ensure that you won't need to sacrifice your goals or go into debt to cover them. Experts recommend that this reserve should amount to 3 to 6 months' worth of essential expenses, giving you time to address problems without rushing. Knowing what to expect and being prepared to handle the unexpected is what separates those who have financial control from those who live on the edge. But how do you adjust your lifestyle? That's what we will see next. Balance between income and expenses. Maintaining a balance between income and expenses is the heart of a healthy financial life. Without this control, it's easy to fall into the trap of spending more than you earn, leading to debt and a cycle of worries that seems endless. The first step to balancing this flow is to understand exactly how much you earn and, most importantly, how much you are spending. It seems simple, but many people underestimate the impact of small daily expenses. That little coffee, online shopping, all of this can add up and compromise your finances without you even realizing it. A practical way to calculate this balance is to conduct a monthly review of your accounts. List all your earnings, from your salary to other sources like freelance work or small investments, and compare them with your expenses. If, at the end of the month, your expenses exceed your income, it's time to make adjustments. This might mean cutting non-essential expenses or finding ways to increase your cash flow. This is where the power of planning comes in. By closely monitoring your budget, you can identify where your money is going and thus make more informed decisions. Another important point is to ensure that your fixed expenses, those you pay every month, are within a healthy limit. If fixed expenses consume a large portion of your budget, it can be challenging to balance the rest of your bills. In this case, it's worth evaluating whether it's possible to reduce those costs by switching to a cheaper service plan or even reconsidering your lifestyle. Balance requires this constant awareness and adjustments when necessary. Now, when it comes to increasing income, the solution often lies in diversifying your income sources. Don't rely solely on your main salary. Consider taking on extra work, investing in education to improve your skills, and seeking new opportunities. This not only helps you have more money in your pocket, but also brings greater security in case one of your income sources diminishes. True balance occurs when you can save and still have fun, without compromising your financial peace of mind. Saving a portion of your money every month should be a priority, not what's left over after paying bills. Remember the importance of creating an emergency fund and, after that, start investing for the future. And of course, don't forget to set aside a little for leisure. Balance is about ensuring today without forgetting tomorrow while still enjoying the present. This balance is a continuous cycle of review and adjustments. Once you get used to this process, it becomes a natural part of your routine, allowing you to achieve increasingly larger goals with less effort. And it's exactly this mindset that helps you build a foundation for the future. Now that you understand this balance, how about bringing all these lessons together and seeing how to apply them practically? Wizard, every decision you make from today can bring you closer to or further away from your goals. So, how about taking the first step now? Organize your income, adjust your expenses, set goals, and see the difference happen. To make this process even easier, I've left a tool in the comments that will help you organize your finances for just $4.99. With it, you can visualize your spending, plan your savings, and ensure that every penny is working in your favor. Don't miss this opportunity. It's a small investment for a big leap towards your financial freedom. If you enjoyed the content, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and let's continue this journey together, always learning more about how to master your finances.